Welcome to Everyone I Know, the podcast where we argue about the mundane. We're here again in the Troy studio in the sky.
The sweat box in the sky.
And the sweat box. Oh, it's going to get sweaty, boys.
Yeah, AC just got turned off. Let's party.
I'm here with my producer, Brendan.
Hello.
And my brother, Gus.
What's going on, folks? Thanks for listening. If you're listening, this episode of Everyone I Know is brought to you by Audible.com. If you want a free audiobook and a trial membership to Audible.com, you go to audibletrial.com/EIK. I am listening to The Prisoner in His Palace. Ooh. It's about Saddam Hussein and the people that guarded him before they executed him.
Wait, is The Expanse over?
No, I took a break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I still got like 3 more
Tired
books.
of expanding your mind?
Yeah.
Was that those guys who wore red all the time with the little tiny visors who got the emperor?
Well, if you don't want to support us with buying an audiobook, where else can you go, Andy?
If you don't want to support Jeff Bezos supporting us, you can go to patreon.com/everyone I know, and you can sign up to be a patron. We have statues and candles and little things, and we'll give you a big old smooch on the mouth. Thank you so much. We
Only if
appreciate
you want the smooch.
Yes.
Hey.
Good.
That's the $15 tier, so I hope that you want it if you're really going for that level. This week, we have the honor of having a three-peat return guest
Oh.
and a newcomer.
That's me. Brand new.
More like a new Connor.
Yeah.
Turn a phrase.
Cody and Connor have hidden.
Hey.
What up, guys? What up,
Yo,
what up, what up, what up, what up?
Sup.
What's up? Pew, 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 pew.
Tell us about Hidden.
Hidden is our little collective group. We used to be a record label and a business, which didn't work out so great. And which is funny because someone we used to record label for just hit us up with some questions. But yeah, we do that. We throw parties and we make lots of music and stuff.
Yeah.
And we hang out and we share resources and we try to throw shows and parties and make music with people who aren't like represented for their quality because people aren't into cool shit. So we do that. I'm very overtired. I'm very tired. Throwing its con.
We used to be in a group called Young Republic. It's still in a group.
Right,
I mean,
right.
forever. But it was always kind of something that didn't really have a home, and we sent our album to labels in the capital area, and it was just like
nobody liked
to
it.
this or to that or whatever. And if you want something done right,
Gotta do it yourself.
Yeah.
yes, sir.
It's funny that group had the momentum that it did though, because it had a manager.
You had a manager?
Yeah.
We had a manager, and
We had a manager.
Shout out to Stucco, man.
We went on tour.
He thought we were going to be the fucking Beatles. And we
gotta
were like, nah,
do-
we kind
yeah.
of just want to play bars and
He,
basements. for the rest of
we
our
had
lives.
he lined us up with he lined us up with, like corporate gigs and shit too. Like we played at the JBL store in Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
like,
is-
like sandwiched between Prada and Gucci.
yeah.
And
That makes sense for what
Yeah.
the music was.
it was
No, we
so
couldn't curse.
fun.
We got the gig, and he was like, "You can't curse." We're like, "Fuck that!" And it was like, "You get paid $700 a gear," and we were like, "All right."
Sold.
Yeah.
Gee Willikers, mister.
Oh yeah, and we ended up cursing a lot. Like, we
Yeah.
definitely cursed.
I've seen some of the images from those shows, and they look like a raucous time. I saw
They were super fun.
saw a picture of Connor hanging from a ceiling beam,
Yeah, that happens.
shirtless.
Yep.
Yeah.
That happened a lot.
We would do. Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of antics that we developed because it was basically trying each time to have as much fun as possible. Like one of the antics was, I'm pretty sure I told the story on the show before. One of the antics was they would throw me off stage during a certain point in the song. I did that every night, and then for like 2 weeks, and then Connor would hit his head like every other thing. This wasn't part of the act, but it just always seemed to happen, so he had to
that
work
was
with
never
it.
on purpose. Well, one time I was throwing Cody off stage. I think you're about to go into this. I was throwing
Was when
Cody
you
off
were
stage.
wearing the pink wig.
Not the pink wig time.
That was the worst.
That was when I got like a concussion.
That was like a concussion. That was
But
bad.
I was thinking about throwing you off the stage. I was, getting ready to throw Cody like I do, and I accidentally got like a real good handful of his belt, and in my zealotry took him.
Yeah, I remember that.
And really
threw me.
threw him.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
Really.
like a play. Like I actually really got
Gotta
him in
give
the
him a
air.
good
Yeah.
toss, yeah.
And it was like a restaurant, and it was
Yeah.
I don't know.
The thing is that no matter what gig we were playing, we were like, it's not going to be fun unless we decide to like have fun with it. So
Yeah.
if we got matched up with a place where like this wasn't the right vibe or whatever, there was no like not going 100% for it. So.
Yeah, you got to go 120 when it's not right.
So we were in this ramen shop in Beacon.
Hell yeah.
Wearing all matching black clothes, and we were like, no, we're not.
Also,
shredding
support
this
Quinn's
bitch
in
down.
Beacon. They're a great restaurant.
Yeah, they're
Provides
nice
great
people.
music,
They're all just
good
nice. They're all
people.
super nice people.
Nice soft floors to be thrown to.
Yes, absolutely. Good
Linoleum.
soft ceilings to hit your head on. Also,
Linoleum. I remember the floor of every single venue we played in.
remember what it tastes.
Yeah. The worst one was when I got thrown off of the one at what was the gig down in Manhattan? The what was that place called? Anyway,
Left field?
Left field. In
Yeah.
left field. And from the stage it looked like a really smooth concrete floor.
No.
And then like as we played like 3 people this time.
Mm-hmm.
The last gig we did there we played to like 50. This was like 3. And so had to go twice as hard.
Right,
Because
yeah.
you gotta get those 3 people on your fucking side. Like so we went off and like the ground was like the ground was like corrugated or just like fucked up like concrete.
Uh-huh.
So I jumped off and I was gonna land on my knees and slide and just
Ooh. Ow, ow,
Just,
ow,
like,
ow, ow,
stuck.
ow, ow.
Slip and slide without
yeah,
the
it was
slip.
one of those things where it was like I hit the ground and I was like, that's showbiz, baby. And just like got up and went back on stage, tried to pretend it wasn't in a whole lot of pain. Yeah.
It was like you landed in one of those sharpened like pits that GIs used to make in Vietnam. With,
Yeah,
like,
a punji pit.
sticks and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Basically punji pit. We were fucked
Is that what
up.
those are called? Punji pits?
Punji pit, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's
Tiger pit.
Tiger,
Yeah.
Tiger pit also.
vocabulary right
Dude,
there.
we were fucking beat up after every single show.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Leave it on the floor, dude. Leave it on the paint.
Yeah, no, dude, there's pictures of blood. Like,
I can show it to you on my phone.
yeah, it was a good time though. I mean, it was all good fun. We weren't like scaring people or hurting people.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's the bare minimum.
Hurt yourself, but like, be cool about it.
Just be cool about it. No,
Yeah,
you know,
don't make it weird.
don't try to be a tough guy. Nobody's
Yeah.
impressed.
Nobody wants to watch you like stab the side of your cheek with a skewer on stage during like a noise performance, but
I
like
don't
almost concuss yourself during like a hip hop performance with like, you know,
Your
a
face.
dude from Long Island, a dude from the middle of nowhere, and a dude from Highland Falls.
Well, Cody's, but there is a line. Because one time, like, this was when Cody was like, Connor, are you okay? So I was thinking to myself, I want to like get some animal blood in here, like real, because it can't be that hard to find.
Yeah,
honestly.
real blood.
like real blood. And, like,
Yeah, this is funny.
And I was like, okay, so you know the part in "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time," like the bridge where she's just like, her loneliness is really fucking
yeah.
killing her. Like it is. Can we curse?
Yeah,
yeah,
yes.
of course, dude.
Fuck, sweet.
Oh, heck
great
yeah.
shit.
This is a
Bang.
corporate gig, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I don't know. Jeff Bezos is on this shit. Like, you never know.
He doesn't pay us, so
Fuck
it's okay.
Jeff Bezos.
All
Like
he's-
Bezo Bub,
All
am I
he's
right?
still trying to like get the Amazon headquarters here.
Dude.
I don't know.
Oh, if
I'm gonna
only.
do the story. Tell the story.
So I was like, dude, we get a kiddie pool, and I pour
No.
blood all over myself, like while we're listening
Quick-
to that.
like-
part
like
of
Carrie
Baby
style?
One More
Yo,
Time.
quick-
Exactly. No, but like more of like a rapture.
Quick
like
pause.
looking back up at it. Oh god, I'm just.
So this is how this conversation
Was
started.
pitched.
It was.
What's the
we-
venue, by the way?
Here we just hold on. Everyone
Okay,
just
okay.
pause. So we were heading down to Manhattan to a gig, and we were all in my '96 Civic with no air conditioning.
Hell
Just,
yeah.
like everyone had their shirt off. Like we were driving, and just from the back
Hell
seat,
yeah.
like the turn down the radio for half a second. Just Connor in the back is like, "Do you think it's like safe to cover yourself in like animal blood?" And it just went, "No, we're not doing that." And he was like, "I don't know why you're," and I was like, "No." And then I was like, "Arthur, like, no, right?" And he was like, "No, we're not doing that." And he was like, "I don't know why you guys are getting all upset." Like,
You haven't even heard my pitch
you haven't even
yet.
heard what I'm about to say. And I was like,
Still
"No,
don't
not
even
what you
know
can do that by
anything.
yourself whenever. Like, you're not doing that in the fucking show." And it was like, whatever. So all right, we just gotta talk about comic books.
Cowards. All right, I made you guys a little song.
Oh, yeah. Sweet.
Blood.
Oh, sorry guys, hold on.
Hit.
It's a great start.
It's a great start, but it was at the wrong tempo, so it's not gonna work.
You gotta make it work.
There we go. Cody, do you recognize this beat? Because it's yours.
No, what is it?
It's from Breath Loop.
Oh, this is breath loop.
Yep.
Yeah, word, nice. Woo!
This slaps. This is great.
Hit Hidden is awesome.
Oh my god.
Word.
Dude, I am hard as a nail
Yeah,
right
this is
now.
sick. This is very flattering.
Shit.
Yeah, guys.
You made
That
it all on
was
the
dope.
PL33?
Yeah, I sampled a bunch of people talking about Hidden Figures, the movie. And, like,
Hey, that was a great movie. I
was.
wish we had something to do with that, because that is a great
Yeah.
movie, right? It's really fucking long,
Yeah.
but it's really good.
Oh,
a
dude, that was fantastic.
good pea sequence. Yeah, no, I actually I was originally trying to make a carbon copy of Breath Loop,
Yeah.
and then I realized that I'm tone deaf and I just can't work out the notes. So I did something completely different.
That that breath is from like this lady who sent me a song to remix, and then I gave it to her, and I never heard back from her. And so I was just like, I got like all her vocal tracks, and I used them in so many fucking songs, and she's never gonna find out. But and then the rest of that is all fucking like Zelda.
Okay.
Legend of Zelda,
Nice.
like clips, like the yeah, that's all like the Goro or whatever guy. Talking.
Nice.
Yeah.
Little Vocaloid action.
Little vocal line. All right, cool.
If you haven't listened to the cast before, we have a quick segment that we do, which is our father reading last week's.
It's
episode.
called the Old Man Minute. The Old Man,
My favorite part.
Yes,
he
Cody's favorite
reviews
part.
Yeah.
The episode from last week. I can't read out loud, but Brendan, he can.
Greetings, EIK fellas. I got a new vehicle Saturday, a 2019 Jeep Cherokee. I love it. The only downside is that the 3-year lease will expire and I still won't have figured out all the gizmos. Gung-ho! Topic 111. Playing loud music in cars. I once heard a comedian say that men only need 3 things, sex, space, and quiet. Well, the good ship SS Sex not only sailed, but crashed on the rocky shoals with no survivors. I am therefore rabid about space and quiet, hence the compound. I am pretty tolerant of people next to me playing loud music since it's such a temporary annoyance, but one day a kid pulled up next to me at a light with music blaring so loud it actually shook my car, so I made eye contact with him and began speaking into my imaginary microphone with an occasional glance back at him. The volume level dropped to a tolerable level.
I'm trying to be a cop. Okay.
I love being an asshole. Topic 2. Opening acts. The best opening act I've ever seen was when In Excess opened for the Go-Go's at the Utica Auditorium in the early 80s.
Shit, that's amazing.
Vader brought us front row tickets to the floor. We were the only 2 people at the venue that were old enough to buy beer. I liked their music, but the real lure was that I wanted to pork Belinda Carlisle.
Who does
Christ.
Still purple in the car.
I had never heard of In Excess, but they were great and, at the end of the day, were more prolific than the Go-Go's. Sadly, Belinda and I never hooked up. Then she got clean and sober and lost all kinds of weight. Hashtag drunk chubby chicks are fun.
Ooh, wow.
Sober chubby is fun.
You're canceled. I saw
Cancel for a while.
I saw a current picture of her, and she looks like a bitchy high school English teacher waiting to retire.
God,
Oh my
damn.
god.
Like
Damn,
your
dude.
dad's turning
Soul
in,
read.
Dragged her to filth.
Yeah.
he's turning into like an edgy
Honey.
90s comedian.
What's the deal with the Go-Go's?
Like the old Andrew Dice
It's like,
Clay.
yeah, I was gonna say, he's doing like an Andrew Dice Clay.
Went and saw the Go-Go's. Hey.
Oh, oh.
Topic 3, a dating site for flat earthers, I guess.
Oh, that's great.
Sometimes the best fruit hangs low on the tree, begging to be picked. The EIK fellows host a live online game show where 3 female contestants per episode pay stupid money to participate. This also gives the fellas an opportunity to pitch the celebrities' wares at the commercial breaks and get a cut of the proceeds. Introducing the mating game. Andy will play the part of MC, Steve Harvey. Christ will be the voice of Alex Jones.
Probably Chris.
Chris, I think it's supposed
Yeah,
to
I
be
think
Chris.
it's Chris.
Or Christ, who
Yeah,
knows?
that's good.
I'm
And
too
Brendan
often
will be
confused.
the huckster who pushes Alex's snake oils on the brakes. Chris will ask contestants the usual questions. Do you like a man with a big heart that pumps hot blood fast? do you like having children?
You like having children. I have children. I'm a human.
But we'll ask their opinions about other conspiracies like, would you allow your daughter to kiss a gay frog, turning him into a gay prince that she can never have children with? You'll be rich and in desperate need of a tax accountant. Love, old man. P.S. This weekend, Friday through Sunday, is the annual Taste of Lebanon. Good food, good time. I just want to point out.
Unsponsored plug.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah. No, we're not seeing any dough from
I'm
that.
sorry, the Church of St. Louis Gonzaga from Utica. Rate, review, subscribe.
At this point, I am not sure if he doesn't know how to spell my name or is running through every possible permutation that is wrong just to annoy me.
It's definitely the second one. 100%. Because he asked me, he's like, how do you spell Brendan's name? Like, I'm not going to tell you.
I tell him it's Dan. It's Dan.
But it's 2 D's.
I don't think
No.
it's ever been right.
Brenda Dan.
Brendan.
But I'm okay with it because I want to see how creative he gets with it.
Brenda Dan.
There's only so many vowels in the alphabet.
I think he'll find a way.
Without further ado, we're moving on now to topic number one.
How many times do you have to be on the show before you get your own delay unit?
I'd bring it.
You can bring your own.
BYOD.
Honestly, he can throw the monitor on yours right now.
You wouldn't be the first person to bring an effect into the studio.
That's cool.
One of those people has to be Dan.
Dan Madelone?
Either of them.
Madeline brought like a voice modifier thing, Vocaloid type thing.
Yeah, it was like a voice pitch shifter, I think.
Yeah, it
Something
was
like
pretty
that.
cool. And he played Satan. It was good. Topic one is comic books or graphic novels.
Ooh.
What do we like? Because this topic came spur of the moment before the recording because we all were just spontaneously talking about our favorite graphic novels.
Yes.
Sure.
It's becoming more in vogue now, I think, enjoying comic books. And not that ever really was that. No, it was always kind of
Nerds
nerdy,
rule, jocks
but-
drool. Everyone knows it.
But
Comic
he-
books are cool now.
Everybody's scared to say it. I'm just going to say it. I like comic books, man.
Yeah, it's more in vogue now with like the MCU and a lot of these smaller little known comic books getting the adaptations of getting like we were talking about The Boys earlier,
Sure.
which is very good.
Or what about
Boys.
like even Doctor Strange?
Yeah, Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
which is just like a B-list
Super
Marvel
B-list.
comic.
Or like all the Avengers.
yeah, like Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yeah, was a B-list Avenger.
I have to say, I like the hot take that after 22 record-breaking Marvel movies, you're like, comic books are cool now.
Yes, I mean that's like the whole thing. When we were in high school, it was kind of on the cusp right there.
Yeah, it was just starting.
Yeah, the
attractive
X-Men
people
movie was
have
the biggest
glasses.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there they go. But I forgot what I was going to say.
What's y'all
Watchmen. Let's talk about Watchmen.
Fuck yeah.
Watchmen's the fucking best.
I've got a hot take about Watchmen.
Let's hear it.
It's the-
I think that though the Watchmen movie had its flaws,
Yeah.
I thought it was all right, man.
Go
it
on.
was
Yes.
good. But the ending on the Watchmen movie made a hell of a lot more sense than the ending in the comic book.
That's not the point. It's not the
100
point.
fucking 1,000%.
It's not the point.
It makes more sense.
The
not
ending
the point.
making more
It has, like,
sense
an
doesn't make up
applause
for the
sound
big
for
pile
that
of shit
opinion.
that the rest of the movie was.
The movie wasn't a pile of shit.
No,
It's just
it really
they did a frame by frame adaptation of comic book, and they expected it to play out like a well paced movie, and that's what
Yeah.
they fucked up. But here's what's so sick about the Watchmen movie is I can be like read like a part of the fucking comic book and be like, you know what, I want to see that in like live action, and then
Yeah.
I can just like watch the movie and then just like pause it, go back to the book, and be like, can't wait till I get to another fight scene.
Do you
and
do
I can
that?
watch it play out. That's like the best way to enjoy Watchmen altogether.
The intro was
That's a great
amazing.
idea.
The intro was
intro's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, that was like you were like, oh,
And
You
the
were
casting
in
was
the
really
comic
good.
book.
the
It was
casting was
perfect.
great.
But I thought that they ruined a lot of the characters pretty badly.
I mean, they just. I think
I
all the
disagree.
actors did a great job. It was just a weird, like, it's just weird seeing
It
them
was
play
Zack
out on
Snyder.
screen.
Zack
Zack
Snyder.
Snyder's not the best filmmaker in the world, but also too
Yeah.
like with the Watchmen, it didn't come from a comic book that had a deep lore behind it, like a Batman
True.
or like a Superman or something like that. So these characters are kind of caricatures in themselves of the different. Of the different
yeah,
well,
yeah.
but
No, that's a good point.
things.
But at
so
the
maybe they're to your point, their characters weren't as developed as you see in some of the newer stuff that comes from stuff that has a very deep and long
you don't
storied
need
history.
20 movies
Yeah.
beforehand.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that betrayed the characters was in the comic, Rorschach is the guy that kills people.
Yes.
Right.
That's what defines him. Like he's the guy that's going to go the extra mile and murder you.
I see what
But
you're
in the
saying.
movie, fucking everybody's just like a
everyone up.
stone cold
No,
killer.
that's true.
And it kind of undermines what makes
Zack
him different.
Snyder is such a motherfucker with that shit because
He
he
always
did that
does
to
that kinda
Batman
shit,
too, and he
yeah.
was like, "Well, Batman kills people," and everyone's like,
No,
"Have
that's-
you seen
that's-
any Batman shit from the last 10 years? Like, he
that's a
doesn't do
Batman.
that."
He doesn't do that. That's
Yeah.
that's his shtick.
You just like everyone for the last like 2 decades has been like Batman doesn't kill people, and you're like, no, he does, dude. Have you seen like you ever like read like the first couple issues of Batman? I was like, no one cares about that bad shit.
Yeah.
That's like the character has evolved,
Yeah.
and you're
That's-
just like taking like a leap.
The 3 strikes are that the
Yeah.
characters being ruined by the all being stone cold
Ruined is
killers.
strong word.
I think ruined is a strong word, but I like your criticism.
Strike
Yeah.
2 is that sex scene.
That was the best.
You can fuck off with that. That was dope.
Amazing.
Strike 3 is introducing gore humor in a thing that is supposed to be a deconstruction.
Yeah.
Like Al Gore humor, like humor at Al Gore's
No, like
expense.
the
yeah, like
cutting
series
off
of
the
tubes.
arms in the prison there.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
so, the Watchmen is supposed to be a deconstruction of the superhero genre. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be if there really were superheroes, what would it actually look like in the real world?
What would Richard Nixon do?
But
about it?
but then he stylized it so hard that he
but that's
undid that it was a
what Zack
deconstruction.
Zack Snyder does.
That's
Well,
like
yeah,
the-
but
Yeah.
that's like saying a goat fucker fucks goats. You can't fault him. He doesn't need to fuck the goat.
Right.
I mean,
An interesting,
go fucker's gonna fuck. You know,
an interesting analogy.
I think the
Point well made.
yeah, the points are made.
Yeah.
But I think you're being a little harsh on the film.
I would
Agreed.
say
As a
the
whole.
best way to watch
Yeah.
so I
haven't
watched
read
the
it.
movie when I was a kid, and then I was like, it's fine. Then I read the comic book at work on company time, and then
Heck the man, dude.
the
Heck the-
company's down.
Allegedly.
no, definitely on the record. I don't work there anymore.
Hey, fuck you.
And then I watched the movie again, and it made the movie a lot better because there's a lot of like little Easter eggs in the movie that if you're not like a hardcore or like it's fresh in your mind, you're gonna miss.
Like, you can't call him. It's just weird that, like, you were saying that he makes so many strange calls. That's like, you didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that?
There's stuff that doesn't need to be made more gratuitous than it already was. It was already the right level of gratuitous. Or like Adrian Veidt's character is totally flat and pointless in the movie. He has no development. But in the comic book, you have the story of the Black Pearl as an allegory for him. And so you have this kind of
Wait, who's Adrian Veidt?
He's the bad.
Ozymandias.
Well, he's Ozymandias. Yeah, he's the good guy that
Ozymandias.
turns out he's a bad guy. Spoilers.
in the movie, he's an extremely undeveloped character.
Yeah.
And in the comic, he doesn't get a lot more development, but the story of the Black Pearl is clearly an allegory for his mindset.
Word.
And so you still walk into at the end, understand the way the character looked at the world. In the movie, it's just not there. And I know he did originally intend the Black Pearl
Yeah, and it got cut.
to be in it, but it got
Yeah.
cut. But
Yeah,
I
they
think
released
Did they
Yeah,
ever
like
do
a
a
DVD
director's
thing
cut?
it's on the DVD.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Here's another thing I just want to say. I'm thinking of more examples now, and I do think they ruined like the realism with a lot of the over the top action. Because you remember, like, one of the coolest scenes in the comic, which I was looking forward to in the movie, was when Rorschach like escapes out the house surrounded by police. Because in the comic book, you're like, that's fucking sick. Like, it's like action so well communicated
Yeah.
from still images. And then when you're watching the movie, he does it, and you're like, that's dope. And then he falls out onto the street and beats the shit out of like 25 cops. And I remember me from being like, whoa, this is sick, to being like, oh, god damn. Like,
Yeah.
he's really fucking up these cops. And it
Yeah.
was so over the top. And that definitely, like, yeah, it takes away from like a very important aspect of the movie. That was fucking sick, dude. Like,
That was awesome.
it was so cool. But yeah, that's definitely like a fault of the movie. And the ending is basically like that's got to be like one of your like big points. Like that's a big part of contention. I love the comic book ending to death, just because like it was. I feel like that was supposed to be the thing. It was like just like this over the top, fucking like crazy supervillain ending.
like comic booky like style, like like being
Yeah.
a deconstruction and having that like level. Of
Like
What is?
I
is-
don't know. Okay, there's sounds coming out of cords. Electrical interference is a thing, and I don't have a sense for it. I don't know. It's something. It's okay. We'll roll.
I'm
with
not
it.
worried about it.
Yeah,
The world can get used to it. You know what? If we didn't mention it, someone would probably been like, "Oh shit, is my phone on my?"
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. No, it's us.
So that's Watchmen. Now we're going to talk about.
But I do agree with Andy
Spawn.
about the movie ending being better than the comic.
Whoa, what was
I
that
just gotta throw
face?
that out there.
I think
I
that
don't
the
read
comic book
Spawn.
ending is
Spawn.
the comic book ending is better for a comic book, and the movie ending is better for a movie.
well said. There you
Dude,
go.
no, they just didn't
Nice.
think because they didn't think that the movie audiences would handle the like
Giant
the s-
monster.
the straight like
They
straight
barely handled the movie, of
Lovecraftian.
course.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think they would have, but they would have had to plant all these seeds throughout the movie, like they do in the comic,
Where they're building
that build
it.
up to it.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, there's all these weird artists and stuff disappearing. I wonder
Right.
where they're going, and that would have had to be developed in the
Yeah.
movie. And the movie did not have time for that.
That's one point I was going to
Well,
make. Like
maybe-
first
yeah,
off,
maybe
it's
that's
a blockbuster movie. It's made by Warner Brothers. It has to hit the fucking right takes to get finance stuff. There's only so much time they have. They only have 3 hours.
You know what movie did it right? Suicide Squad.
What?
Suicide.
Suicide Squad? That pile of shit.
I never saw that movie. I was like, I want to
watched
see it. I want to see how bad it is.
I
And
watched
everyone
it.
was just
It
like,
was-
don't. It's not
it
even
was-
worth it.
I got
for
about
that.
20 minutes in.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's so bad.
That's
Dude,
also
did you guys see this
shiny.
trailer for this movie where Will Smith is fighting his fucking self the whole
Directed
time?
by Ang Lee. Ang motherfucking Lee. The Ice Storm, baby.
That's gonna be a fucking creep. We're like right back there.
Dude.
We got we got the Fast and the Furious spin-off. We got Will Smith fighting
Dude,
himself.
Will
we
Smith
talking
is
about
the
that?
fucking
And A24
best.
is making
I
like
love
artsy
him.
fucking movies.
I gotta give a quick shout out to my man Kyle, who also loves Will Smith. He's in my other band, Boys for Men, and fucking Kyle is the fucking best,
love
and
the
Will
name of
Smith
that.
is the best.
Have you guys heard about the new Blade?
No.
I saw that
Oh,
they
no,
announced it.
down for that
It's
shit.
Mahershala
though.
Ali.
Mahershala Ali is going to be Blade.
No,
Yes.
that's great.
I can't.
He's
He
so
was
fucking
fucking
he was
waiting.
I'm very
great
excited
in
about that.
True Detective season 3. I think he can now be Blade.
Yep.
Oh,
He's,
right, no,
he's
okay.
proved his chops. in one of
Wesley
the-
Snipes was great in True Detective season 3, and that's why he was a great Blade.
He's proved his chops in one of the most critically acclaimed shows.
Yes.
Now he can be
He
Blade.
resurrected.
How do you guys feel
One of
about
those.
Frank Miller?
I think he's alright.
A little bit of him goes a long way for me.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
good.
You
I
know,
mean, are you talking about the movies made from his stuff, or are you talking about?
No, we're talking
his
about the comics.
comics?
We can talk about the movies too.
Yeah, I mean, his
Talk about
comics-
Zack Snyder again.
His comics, similar to Garth Ennis, he kind of makes comics that are over the top and controversial for the sake of doing so.
yeah, and that's
Yeah,
Somebody's
well,
gotta
that's,
do
that's
it.
a little later.
Somebody's gotta do it.
That's
Yeah.
like post Sin City him, right?
Yeah, definitely Sin City's where it
the
starts.
shit.
But I gotta say, dude, my favorite books, like, get emotional, straight up, are like The Dark Knight Rises,
it's
and
very
fucking Sin City 1. Like
Yeah.
those, I love those books to death. Like,
Untouchable.
To kill for.
What
Dame to
about
Kill
that
For.
Watchmen show that's coming out?
Good for.
I don't know. I just don't know.
or
Could
what
be
about
good.
the comics that are like the fucking preludes to
The prelude-
No!
Oh, they're horrible.
the Watch Minis or whatever
Yo,
they are?
Alan
Yeah.
Moore fucking like
That's a cute name. Cute name.
shoot himself in the knee.
They also brought Watchmen into the DC universe.
Did they?
Yeah,
which is
that's a
against like
mistake.
the whole point of
a
the
mistake.
fucking
No
book.
Watchmen, yeah.
they did it by like interdimensional. Like it's
Oh,
it's
sure.
like
Yeah, comic book logic.
It's a little interdimensional warping. It's all very
Yeah, it's all
scientific.
it's very DC.
Very run of the mill
They're making a Sandman show finally.
Yes, they are.
Sandman show.
I'm sure it's gonna be
Yeah.
like every other Neil Gaiman show, and like I'm gonna get 2 episodes in, and then jerk off, and then fall asleep and not watch it again.
That's about right. What's some like weird books you guys have read? I can give you one example.
Oh yeah. Oh.
The Flintstones comic book. If you haven't checked it out,
Ooh.
What?
It's very, very, very good.
Really?
It's about Fred. And he
Ain't it
has
always?
PTSD from a war he was in when they fought like the Neanderthals to take over
Really?
like Bedrock. Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's
Is
I
this
love it.
officially Flintstones sanctioned
Yes.
lore?
That's so
yes.
sick.
That's crazy.
The
Yo,
guy
like
that wrote
Archie
it,
and Jughead gets like super real.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
the Jughead comics are crazy.
Yeah, there's like scenes in it where he's going to like the whatever the bowling club he's in, and
Yeah.
they're all with like the big bowling hats talking about fucking remember we're in the weeds, man.
Oh
they
my
came out of
God.
fucking nowhere.
At the
Like,
Grand
it's-
Poobah Lodge.
yes, the Grand
Dude,
Poobah
that's
Lodge.
The great
amazing.
thing about
It's
comics is
fucking
that
great.
they can take that level of like ridiculousness and like really
It's so well done. Dude.
get you. Oh, and there's so many good styles. There's so many like good genre. There's always like, but that's the thing. It's like in music. I feel like it's like, oh, do you like Lovecraft shit? Or like here's like 2 solid Lovecraft comic book runs, and here's like a bunch of like bullshit that you really
Yeah.
shouldn't pay attention to unless you like jack off the tentacle porn or some shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
whatever.
But who doesn't?
Have you read Alan Moore's his Lovecraft thing?
No.
Oh yeah,
I think maybe that was a while ago,
I
right?
gave it to you.
Yeah,
Chris.
I've read that. Well, that was by Alan Moore.
That was Alan Moore. Yeah.
Really, I didn't know
Alan Moore is fucking
It is
best,
wacky
dude.
as
Shit.
fuck.
Yeah,
man.
dude.
He's a
That's
wacky
crazy.
dude, man.
He's a wacky dude. Worships a snake god with
Yes,
like,
he does.
a fire. Yeah, I love Alan Moore, man.
He was saying that he did those because he wanted to do a Lovecraftian thing, but all of the things that Lovecraft refers to as like demonic rites and like stuff like that he never
Judaism.
describes. Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna show it, and it's gonna be weird amphibian rapists.
Yeah.
Wow. I
It-
love. I was watching. I was like killing time watching the shitty YouTube series, and they were making fun of like H.P. Lovecraft's writing style, and I thought it was the funniest fucking thing ever. Because everyone always told me it was like the scariest shit ever, and he was like, "No, he fucking sucks." Because they'd be like, oh man, like what happened? Like what did you see? And he's like, oh dude, like it's so scary I can't even describe it. It's like so crazy.
Wait, were you watching Funhouse?
I was watching Fuck
yeah.
I don't like. I watched. I got like really into it for like this past month, and now I'm like, dude, I can't watch this shit anymore.
They're fucking awesome.
When
love
they were,
those guys.
I think the shit from like the shit that they're doing now is not like you can like feel like how fucking over it they all are.
Oh, they
But
totally are.
But like the
Yeah.
stuff from a couple of years ago is like pretty
It was
fucking funny.
Fucking awesome. Yeah. Yeah, they reopened up Inside Gaming. That's what I watch more than Funhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's more like Lawrence, and he does like a lot of the video game reviews, and that's more like kind of thinky stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm down with that kind of
Yeah.
shit. I don't know why, dude. Like you're on YouTube, it's like no way you can avoid like video game content.
No,
it's
yeah,
just
you-
like all it is. Like I'm
Gamers
not.
rising up. That's what's happening.
I play one video game, like, and maybe two.
does.
I play Doom 2, and I can't wait to play Doom 2. You know, Doom Eternal. I'm waiting for it.
Hell
Doom
yeah.
Like,
blaze
but
it.
also the Doom fucking comic.
I've never read it.
Oh, it's so good.
Is it good?
Guts,
Yeah, check it
guts, violence. Need more guts. Demon guts. Like that's like the oh, dude, it's so sick. I think you can like unlock it in one of the games or something.
Nice.
When I was 18 and working at Hot Topic,
Word, perfect.
Uh,
Loving this.
there was a comic called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Oh yeah.
Classic.
Oh yeah.
Jonah
yeah.
Vasquez.
and
right?
that was like when they had just come out.
Yeah.
And so they were like, it was like a really big thing. I still have all the issues
dude.
from back then. There were only 8
Everything.
issues, I think, of the
There's-
comic.
There's an image from JTHM that's always stuck with me. When I was 13 years old, I was reading one, and he takes 2 like meat hooks that have been joined together like Wolverine, but he lost a finger, and like he puts them right in the top of the person's skull and spreads it apart, and it was just this amazing visual that I'd never seen in printed media before, and it stuck with me.
Yeah,
for
they gave
all
you
these
they gave you
years.
like the static brain feeling. Like,
Just
Yeah.
like, I was like, this is
But
cool.
even better than that, what I always remember from that comic is the guy that shits himself on a date with a girl.
Oh, I was about to talk
Yeah.
about the shitting himself guy.
and he goes, "Someone put shit in my pants."
Yeah, he's in class and he doesn't know what to do.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
And he's sitting there and he's like, "What do I do? What excuse can I make for why I shit my pants?" And eventually he just jumps up and screams, "Somebody put shit in my pants!" and runs away.
Those are
I
great.
always remember
That's
that
brilliant.
That was like that Newgrounds esque like Salad Fingers like humor where it was like
Yeah.
absurd and like kind of
God, I
dark.
love Newgrounds.
There's like the kind of jokes that could fit on a pin you could put on your fucking
Yeah,
like
it's
trip
Hot
pants or
Topic
some
level.
shit. Yeah.
It was so good. And then he made Squee and he made a bunch of other things. And then I remember like it was announced like Jonah Vasco is going to make a Nickelodeon cartoon.
Yeah.
And we were all like, "What?
Oh, yeah.
This guy made the most violent, obscene comic I've ever seen in my life. How's he
they
going to
re-
make it?"
dude, they really-
And then he made Invader Zim, and it was like, somehow this is the exact same sense of humor.
Yeah.
And works
He really
100%.
Dude, he just did everything he could without like breaking the fucking like rating system because that show was disturbing.
That
Oh,
show
for
was
sure.
that
Yeah.
show would if that show came out 10 years after, it would still be on.
Yeah.
Because it was so far ahead of its time.
But
Oh,
like
yeah,
that's like
absolutely.
that's like a part of my history like I can't relive because like
You can't go back to the
you
Zen
can't
days.
I can't go back to that because it's just like I remember like I thought it was so cool, but if you zoomed out and you like looked around at everyone, if they showed like Invader Zim in a theater and I showed up there and there were like 100 other people there, I'd be like, oh no, this is not my scene.
But there's
Maybe
something to
this
be
is
said.
cool.
Like there's something to be said for somebody who can take their brand of humor and repackage it
Yeah.
for like
Oh,
a
yeah.
younger audience while still not diluting it in any way.
I would compare it a lot to like Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah.
Also, if I
definitely.
showed up in a theater to watch Rick and Morty, I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if
dude.
this is like
There
gotta
are a lot of
separate
smart
the-
people.
real Mensa
real
convention.
Mensa convention. Ooh, good. I like that.
They're doing an Invader Zim movie, I think now.
Nice.
That's
Oh no, like no, I don't. I think they're doing like a whole new run.
I
okay.
think well,
Show.
Nickelodeon is doing like 2-hour specials or something of like all their old
Oh.
cartoons.
Oh, why leave the past alone?
Rocco.
Yeah, so and
yeah.
I think they're doing Invader Zim, but they announced that years ago, and I don't think it's happened yet.
Yeah.
Well,
that
Hot
was a
Topic's
great
got to
show.
gear up. That's
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
they
man.
can't fucking handle that shit if it drops and they don't have enough.
Oh,
They're
God.
rebranding since they got rid of the corn font. That's like their main thing. They gotta get tough again. They gotta get hard. Hot Topic gotta get hard.
When I worked there,
Take
our
over some
loss
fucking
rate,
GameStops
our loss
for the
rate for
extra
1 year was
stock.
30%.
Loss rate was 30%.
Yeah.
How do you mean loss rate?
Like that's how much stuff was stolen.
Dude, I walked.
I was a part of that.
I've stolen from
Sorry.
Spencer's. I walked out of there. I was walking around. I was looking for a gift. I like had a bunch of bags. I put some shit in my hand, and the bags were in there. So like when I was walking out, I was like, "There's things in your hand." That's right, you were carrying stuff. So I walked out, went to go buy a calendar, one of the calendar signs. Like went to pick one up and saw that I had like incense and a bunch of other shit in my hands, and I was like. And I was thinking, I was like, I am totally not the kind of person that can get away with this. like, I gotta go back in that store and I gotta put it back without anyone seeing me. And I remember snuck and all the
Reverse
shit,
stealing.
all the shit that I took was right by the register, and I remember just to walk back in and I was like, hey. Good to see you again.
Thanks
When,
for stopping by. Oh, you too.
Yeah.
Shit, you work here.
When I was working there, one dude quit, and we had a loft that had all the shoes in it, all the boots and stuff.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of hundred pairs up there.
Yeah.
Buying
Great
shoes at
story.
Spencer's.
And he went up there and just shit in one of the boots.
Perfect.
And then left a note saying, I shit in one of the pairs of boots and I put it back.
Perfect.
So some poor son of a bitch the next day
Had
had
to
to
go
go
through-
up there and just shake out every pair of boots until the turd fell out of one of them.
Damn, that's great. I applied. I was on the mailing list to get a job. So like a few years ago, I really needed a job, so I applied fucking everywhere, and I applied to like Spencer's, and I got turned down. But when you apply and you don't get hired, they put you on a list, and then every time a position comes up, you get mailed. And so I still get notifications like, yeah, if you still want to work at Spencer's, like,
Is your life
30%
still
you
discount.
really,
can get open.
yeah.
It's
Is your life
Crossgates.
still really sad?
No. Shut up.
What's your guys' favorite non-superhero comic book?
Oh, that's an easy one for me.
sensitive.
Brian K. Vaughan, great comic book writer. He wrote a comic book called Pride of Baghdad back in 2005 or 6, like really right when Bush was taking off with the war in Iraq, and it's just about this pride of lions that escapes from the Baghdad Zoo, and they're like after
That
a
sounds
U.S.
sick.
airstrike,
Yeah.
and like it is so fucking raw and violent and nasty and like political
Yeah.
and allegorical. It is a fantastic comic book. I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, I totally want to check that out.
Yeah,
Send
I
me
got a
links,
copy
bro.
of it. Which,
Oh, nice. I gotta say, Akira.
Akira?
Yeah,
that's
for
a good one.
sure. Yeah.
What about you, Chris? Do you have one?
It's probably the Flintstones.
Flintstones?
to be serious,
Bold
it's
choice,
fucking-
but like I support
damn,
it.
really
every
good.
time I hear Flintstones, I want to just go Jane, his wife. But that's probably because we're in the future, you know.
My favorite is a comic book series called Meg McGann Owl. Have you guys ever heard of that?
No, sounds cool.
It's one.
though.
It's
Egg
based
Dog.
on like a British kids book called Meg McGann Owl, I
You
believe.
don't say.
And
Blimey.
and basically it's like a witch, a cat, a giant bird, and a wolfman is like the like kids book.
Walk
and
into
they're-
a bar.
Right, exactly. But it's
Walk
basically
into a pub.
basically
Oh,
the Simon Hanselman
What's all
run
that
of them.
now?
They're all like 20 and like doing drugs and depressed, and like the Meg the witch and Mog the cat are like dating and like fucking, and like
Sick.
there's like
Wait,
cat,
who's fucking?
the witch and the cat.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's pretty cool.
And like there's like relationship troubles. It's very depressing. It's great.
the
Cool.
wolf's fucking the owl's fucking the witch. It's just a classic fantasy.
No
love
one
triangle.
fucks the owl. The
Lion,
owl-
the witch, and they're all in the
the
wardrobe.
wolfman does fuck some people though.
Nice. Good for him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great.
He's getting some, man. Good for him.
Oh, excuse me. Off I guess. All right.
Do you think that comic books like becoming in vogue is a good thing for comic books in the future, or is it ultimately
Yeah.
going to dilute the craft?
I think it's gonna do kind of what's going on with film right now, where the
Once everybody started
yep.
watching movies,
well, no. So when you see a genre get really big,
Yeah.
it gets bloated, and then it kind of fails, and then what kind of comes out of that is really high quality stuff in that same genre.
Big
right?
old facts.
Just like us with podcasting.
Exactly.
It got very big and
Zing.
bloated. And now you got the good shit.
And you guys
The
are starting
IK.
a craft brewery too, right?
Right. Oh, duh. Don't even get me started. Just talking about that to death. But I look at a lot of the idea of something coming into the mainstream and then collapsing is the thing that I like studied like quite a bit. Like even in like an academic, like I kind of am like an expert on this. But what's
No
gonna
big deal.
Yeah. But like, I mean, we talked about this pretty extensively when last time I was here talking about like lo-fi hip hop and stuff. Which, dude, by the way, still fucking getting bigger.
Yep.
Connor's mom's listening to it now.
Dude, my mom's listening to it right now.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
loving it.
This got like I get like some people from like everyone I know from college is like making lo-fi hip hop
Yeah,
now, and
it's true.
It's all pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's gonna. What happens is, you know, so you have this thing, and it was known by a couple people, and it all had a meaning, and everyone, and you could be like, oh, hey, you like so and so, like I can tell you're like this kind of person, and then when it gets bigger, it loses that, and that sucks.
Right,
It
right.
loses its identity.
You lose your soul a little
aspect
bit,
of it.
yeah.
People pick it up, they don't fully understand it, they try to make it again like hip hop and lo-fi hip hop, and And then they end up fucking around with it, and every once in a while you get lucky and you get something cool that's enjoyable. For the most part, it gets shittier.
Right.
Not because of people aren't getting it technically and because all that, but they're missing out on like the meaning of it, the history of it, that kind of like X factor that comes behind like making art or sport. It can even be or anything like that. And then it's gonna collapse.
XFL.
And then the people who really love it are gonna stick with it. They're gonna take the time to understand it, whether they're new or they're from the old guard or something like that.
Right.
And then it just like kind of works in that sinusoidal wave from then on.
Yeah, and you kind of get like people will put out like some amazing album or something like that. That's like a meditation on the entire genre.
Yeah, you get like a genre album or like a genre movie.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, which like and
Also
that's
very
so
hit or
popular right
miss.
now.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's so big right now, especially because we have this like culture on culture stacking shit going on right
Everything's
now.
just falling in between the cracks.
The thing that's fucked up with superhero
Not falling in
movies
between the cracks,
is
settling.
everyone was like, this is it. This is as big as like superhero movies you're gonna get.
No.
And then they release like a commentary on it, like, oh, like X-Men came out, now we gotta come out with Watchmen. Oh, Iron Man came out, now we gotta come out with Kick-Ass. Oh,
Yep.
like the Avengers like stage 3 or whatever is over, now we gotta come out with the boys. And it's just like the commentary shit, and there's so much more. There's that fucking movie with the dude from The Office.
That's Kick-Ass. Oh no,
No.
Super.
And then there's the
Rainn
one-
Wilson.
I never even heard of that.
Yeah,
That's
there's
good.
Super. Yeah, it's good, but it's like not. It's still.
Yeah.
It's not like an effective commentary. Like no one is because no one knows what it is yet, so they're not allowed to. You can't like criticism. And even before the movies, there were plenty of comics, hundreds of comics that poked fun at like in the
Comic books.
'90s. That was
Yeah.
like the whole fucking thing. Was
Yeah.
like, oh, dude, we're gonna be like all postmodern and like make commentary on like the existing thing. And so like like the superheroes, like that particular aspect. That's
What comes
fucked
after
about.
postmodern?
Postmodern.
But
Just
a
fucking
huge
having
part of
fun, bro.
comics
Just
in the
partying.
90s
Like we're over it. Like,
Dude, but comics in the 90s, a huge part of why they were so successful is because everything in the 90s was about collecting shit. Like collecting
Yes.
Beanie Babies, like everything's accumulating wealth. And comics were already something that people collected. Like like who has an uncle who was just like, hey, I found 10 fucking Teen Titans comics in my basement. I'm going to quit my job and move to Aruba. Like,
right.
it's just,
Well, that was when the movies came out. That was when X-Men came out. That's when I remember all that happening.
but I'll say this.
That
like,
definitely started like in the early 90s.
In the
and
early
you started
90s?
to see the really like 90s themed superhero stuff like Deadpool.
Right.
Like we're going to break the fourth wall
Exactly,
and be edgy
yeah.
as fuck.
Yeah.
But what you were talking about happening with movies, happening to comic books, that really happened in the 80s with comic books.
Right.
They got so big and then people just started to completely deconstruct the genre in
Right.
response to how big it had become.
Yeah.
And so you started to see things like the Frank Miller stuff.
Right.
Dark Knight Rises.
The Frank Miller shit is, but that shit's like super tight because there's like he's got like an idea of like a world that he puts out. Like it comes from. It's not like. I mean, Frank Miller's just weird.
But he really struck gold with like, and like when I first saw 300, like obviously it has not aged well. But when I first saw it, I was like 14.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, the Zack Snyder marriage of the Frank Miller
Yes.
source material was fantastic, and the same thing
With Sin City.
Sin City. Like
Yes.
Robert Rodriguez was a perfect match for that like kind of excessive style.
Here's a question: why did the Frank Miller Batman work so well? Like, why did that work well? Because like most of that shit I don't like. Like, there's so many like failed like Deadpool-esque characters and like failed like takes on things. Like, why did Watchmen because Alan Moore?
Yeah, well,
Well,
so up to that point, Batman had a lot of different incarnations,
Right.
kind of ways of tonally treating Batman, and so some people treated him very comically,
Right.
and the Joker was always like you laughed with it. And it was really in the 80s when they started to really plunge the depths of like the Joker, for example.
They just get real
When he
dark
killed,
with
was
it.
that when
Yeah,
they
very
killed
real.
Robin and shit?
Yeah, well, because this idea of like, what if,
The fans voted to kill Robin.
yeah, when they started really making the Joker like
blame 'em, bro.
chaos embodied, and then you have, the Killing Joke.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's a
Alan Moore.
dark.
Alan
Moore.
That is a
That is
dark fucking
oof.
comic.
Yeah, I haven't read that yet.
But also at the same time, like comics in the 60s and 70s
It's-
were very like gee willikers, like holy crap,
Well,
like
they had the
they really
comics
started
code.
like translated into like
Say
real
Kazal?
life things that people
Kazal.
could relate to.
Yeah, it was the
Like,
comics
that's, like,
code.
they were losing their appeal.
I think a lot of it really is actually that the people that were writing comic books, that the people that were writing comic books when they really started to get big in the 60s and 70s, is those people got older.
Right.
And they started writing much more complex and interesting stuff as they got older.
Once
Because
you
it was
get a
so up
break.
to that point, the comic book industry was who was doing most of the legwork as far as the writing and everything were actually really young guys. It was being run by people like Stan Lee who were getting older and stuff. And it seemed to me like as those guys started to be a little older, the source material started to get a little darker. But I think that people just became really interested in deconstructing the genre because the genre was starting to feel really old. And you also saw the DC and Marvel universes really started to break down in the 80s. That's when you started needing like Crisis on Infinite Earths and stuff because the storylines were becoming so fucked up.
Right.
So, DC always rectifies that stuff with like some kind of interdimensional crisis.
Right.
And then they kind of hit a reset button by just tearing everything apart, but not resetting their timelines. Meanwhile, Marvel uses this weird sliding scale where events get further. It's the same thing The Simpsons does, actually.
Right.
Where
all of a sudden Bart's a teen in the 2000s.
Yeah, so you'll see there's like
boy
4
in
different
2000.
episodes that tell you how Homer and Marge met, and it's always like timed in a different decade. So like in the original ones, it's like how they met in the 70s, and there's one in the 80s, and there's like one in the 90s. So in the Marvel universe, these things have slowly slid out until events that were supposed to have happened.
Like Iron Man getting injured in Vietnam versus Iron Man getting injured in the
Iraq.
invasion
Yeah,
of
at this
Iraq.
point, it's
Yeah.
something like 12 years since like the first Marvel comics in the canon, but it's still supposed to be like 2019. So Peter Parker was bit by the spider in like 2007, and you're supposed to take the events of those old Spider-Man comics and pretend they happened then. And when they reference them and talk about them, they'll talk about them as though they happened then.
Right, so
But-
it'll be like he was bit by a spider because he was looking down at his iPod.
He was
And
watching
that's-
Lemonade.
Right,
The full
exactly.
video.
Right.
Got bit by a spider.
and that by doing that though, now things are starting to totally break down in the Marvel universe because there are certain characters that are tied to historical events that you can't untie them
Right.
from. So you can't you can always say so you could take Captain America and say he was always World War II, but when he woke up was this many years ago. So you could slide that up.
Right.
Wow.
But you can't slide Magneto away from the Holocaust.
Yeah, that's one of
True.
Right.
You can't do that.
So him and Professor X keep getting bizarrely older while everybody else stays younger.
Huh.
And now it's like, okay, you're supposed to be like
I get older and they stay
60
the
when you
same
put the
age.
X-Men together,
Yeah.
70 when you put the X-Men together. It's completely doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that as
Funny.
that started to break down, people really started wanting to really deconstruct the genre. As the storylines just kind of stopped making sense and broke down.
Just go read Spawn. It's great.
Well, as it
Yeah, I was
goes,
gonna
like,
say,
Spawn
when
was
did he
really
get
good.
involved? Because he was kind of part of that shift in the 90s comics.
He was working at Marvel or DC. I can't remember.
Yeah, he did that
was
sick
working
run
at
of
both.
Spider-Man,
Yeah,
right?
He,
Yeah.
he invented Venom.
Of course he did.
The jury's still out on that.
Okay.
He was like in a legal battle about it too.
All right, we are not sure.
Yeah, but he was definitely involved in it. But yeah, no, he broke off and then he made what's the fucking name of Image Comics.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where you got some of my favorite comic books, like so there's Spawn, Walking Dead, the fucking what's his name, the Killer Shark Gator guy, what's his fucking name?
Killer Croc.
Not
No.
Killer Croc, fuck, what's his
Will Smith.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
jeez,
I'm loud.
Will Smith coming at you.
Will Smith.
he's a cop, but he's also a dinosaur.
No, I
But
know
he's
what you're
also-
talking
yeah,
about.
Oh, is it my dad?
But yeah, so like he was like doing a lot of like kind of different shit when Marvel was still kind of playing it safe and DC was still
Yeah.
kind of playing it not safe, but like sticking with
Well, they
like
wanted
their,
a dark.
their core.
They wanted like a different kind
people,
of
yeah.
vibe.
The original story
Saga,
of where
too, is
Venom
really good.
comes from is legitimately the shittiest, stupidest story in all of comic
What is it?
Yeah,
history.
Todd McFarlane's not a good writer.
Where the
Whoa,
original
hot take.
where the
He's
original
not.
like
He's
black
an
suit
amazing
comes from and
artist,
everything.
but-
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man was looking. He stumbled upon this machine, and he thought it was a machine he had heard about. I think from Black Cat. I don't know from another superhero that there was a machine that makes superhero suits, and he found this thing, and he thought that was the machine, but it was really an alien symbiote.
Yeah.
Dude, I know, but like, that's like that was the line I was really into when I was a kid, and I love the scene where the fucking like bell is ringing,
Yeah.
and shit
Yeah,
falls
that's
off and
great.
falls off to Eddie Brock. That's like,
I've got the I have the first black suit issue somewhere around here.
ooh, Brendan, the man with the things.
I got a lot of things. There's one thing I have, it's things. But
Superhero.
that's like a classic, like you can really tell the generational gap when you get to those stories. If you like Venom and Carnage, you're a younger comic book fan.
Right.
If you don't really give a shit about Venom and Carnage, you're an older comic book fan.
If you know what anti-venom is,
yes,
don't fucking talk to me.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, I gotta say this: like kids growing up now, I teach second grade. That's how I pay the bills. That's how I make the money. Like these kids are growing up where there is like no like separate comic book culture. That's like a thing that some people are into. Every single kid is into comic books. Like every single kid is into superheroes, and it's pretty cool. I had a kid in my class who made comic books called Captain Knight. It's fucking sick, and he would like bring me in a new issue like once a month. Shout out to Captain Knight. But it's like really cool, and it's like very much like a medium that kids are finding very accessible, and it works really, really well with translating to them. Like they're reading Dog Man, which is by the Captain Underpants guy.
Nice.
Who is just
Captain Underpants rules.
Titan.
Captain
Dave
Underpants
Pilkey.
does rule.
A lot of people say that comic books is one like pictorials with a story that goes with them, or pictorials with text that goes with them, is one of the oldest forms of art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For human beings, it's
Pictures,
the way that we.
hieroglyphics
It's
are
the
way,
way.
dude.
Yeah, using pictures to tell stories is the
It
oldest
goes
way.
cuneiform, Detective Comics 1.
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
And then hieroglyphics.
The spoken word.
Bands.
And then
Rap.
hot dank memes.
Hot dang memes. And then somewhere, and then honestly,
Then deep fried memes.
honestly, it was like cuneiform, and then VHS went over Betamax because of porn, and then refs.
All right. I believe that we have fully put.
Yeah, we talked the shit out of that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I might as well just go for another 10 minutes and call it an episode. Honestly,
No, let's put some more stuff.
it's
in
at
there.
50 minutes.
How dare you?
Jesus.
On that note, we're moving on to topic number 2.
Savage Dragon. That was the name of the fucking comic.
Yeah, okay.
Whoa.
I got you. Yeah.
Savage Dragon is fucking awesome.
Savage Dragon, right? All right. What
I
was
am.
So topic 2. I know Cody's not happy about this,
I
but
don't know. I'm fine with
My-
it. Actually.
I found that when I was in high school, I listened to a lot of, basically if it wasn't by MF Doom or Mos Def, I didn't fuck with it. I think very highfalutin music that I would consider to have artistic integrity. But right around 2009, Lady Gaga's The Fame came out, and it flipped my world on its fucking head. I thought it was so cool, but it was also had this huge mass appeal fact to it, and it was freaky as fuck and really, really cool.
Connor goes goo goo for Gaga.
Connor goes Google for Gaga, and then of course
Tonight at
following that, she's just great. She's great. And then, but right after that, the thriller of our time, Katy Perry's Teenage Dream came out, and it was just
Dude, I gotta
just
say,
amazing.
Connor says that a lot.
A lot.
And I'm not gonna. I like that he says thriller of the time. I'm not gonna endorse that, especially because that is probably a time away from the time we live in now. But that album is pretty fucking fire.
It's really great, and it's got very dynamic production and a really interesting package. I mean, she was basically selling sex to children. That was
what the fuck?
Classic move, dude.
Seriously, it works.
She was like, I'm a
it works
teenager. She was like
every-
30.
Well, then it really is. It
came
really
out.
is the thriller of our time. Then
It really is the thriller of our time. Exactly.
You gotta scare them, or you gotta sex those kids up. That's the only two things you can do.
Dude, Norm Macdonald has a joke where he goes Michael Jackson's having a kid. If it's a girl, he's gonna name it Denise, and if it's a boy, he's gonna have sex with it. Norm Macdonald's a fucking god.
He's so fucking good.
But the holy triangle of great pop albums from the turn of this decade for me is The Fame, Teenage Dream, and Kesha's Animal.
Okay.
And it just kind of talked to me about the power of self-awareness in music and knowing what you're doing, being fully aware, being capable of making something different than that, but choosing to dive down that path of kind of low rent, nasty, grimy pop music. And pop is like punk in that it's a
Can I isolate that soundbite?
it's an attitude.
It's like,
It's an attitude.
Yes, I agree.
You can make pop and be making it totally by yourself.
you know pop when
It's
you
an
hear
attitude.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pop music. It'd
Exactly.
be really weird pop music, but you're like, that's definitely that's
Absolutely.
That's pop music.
And we're
yeah.
really entering that this uninhibited era of pop music. And it's really
well,
going.
We've been there. We've been there for a minute, man.
It's a cool place to be. I
Yeah.
dig it. I dig it
Yeah.
hard. Who were we listening to in the car? We were listening to Dorian.
Concept?
No,
Probably not.
Definitely not.
Dorian Electra.
Yeah. Dorian Electra.
Dorian Electra is
Sophie.
really cool.
Oh, okay.
Sophie,
Yeah, yeah.
like
J. Paul.
out of the box pop music, and it's interesting how we got to that place, especially coming from something like the Bling era, where you got like G Unit and Nelly and Lloyd Banks like topping the charts with these like very straightforward, like clearly golden era inspired hip hop
Yeah, yeah.
bangers
Yeah, yeah.
into this place where it's just like, let's be freaks and top the charts.
There was some guy who was like, I want to make like a bunch of like pop songs, and then there was some other guy that was like, could we use that to like sell shit?
And you know when that all started is with the Old Spice commercial, I'm on a horse. From after that commercial, every single thing has been super based and really random, like for comedic commercials. Like
Well, yeah,
it
that
has
was
to be
like
totally
the
left field.
aping the Tim and Eric style.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, that
Word.
was directed by Eric Wareheim. And
I didn't know that.
yeah,
There
that
we
commercial
go.
was directed by
Ho!
Eric Wareheim.
Bridging the
Is there
gap.
a the more
Actually-
you know like sound effect that we can put on there?
Da-da-da-da.
'Cause
I gotta get that on the sampler.
That was tight.
Um,
that was tight.
But yeah, I mean, like there are plenty of things where like just because it's popular, I mean, you got to work against that phobia. You know, being a cultured person, you know, knowing what's good in music is not necessarily going to make you happier.
Yeah.
True.
Sometimes you got to walk into a supermarket and find your jam, and
Yeah.
Dude, that happened to
For
me
sure.
like 2 weeks ago. I was in the gas station, heard this song by, oh God, it's so bad. Who's it by? Ava Max.
okay,
Sweet But Psycho.
Okay.
Have you heard this song?
no, I have not.
I was walking into the gas station. I grabbed
But
my
Psycho.
40. I grabbed some OJ, you know, because I just discovered Brass Monkeys like a month ago. And
Welcome,
like,
brother.
It's been great. It's been a real whirlwind. And like
I taught him to drink it down to the label and then fill it up.
Yeah,
That's the only way to do
now.
it.
cure your scurvy too.
Yeah.
But this song comes on, and everybody just kind of started bopping. Everybody was bopping. The whole gas station was bopping, and we're looking at each other like, "Yo, you bopping? You bopping? Yeah, bopping."
Is this cool? Is this now a dance space?
Is this
Yeah.
cool? And then like it was just like, yeah, all right, it's good. And then we moved on. But it's a great song. Like pop music is there's something to be said about bringing people together with universal appeal in
Yeah.
these trying times.
Well, like,
Yeah, it's-
and as far as
Yeah.
like weird pop goes, I mean, there's plenty of great weird pop people. Like Grimes'
Sophie.
first album,
Grimes.
Sophie, is great.
Fucking
Carly Rae Jepsen,
Carly Rae
Carly Rae
Jepsen.
Jepsen is underrated.
Carly Rae
in the
Jepsen.
game.
queer icon Carly Rae Jepsen, although she's not anything, just a lady. But you know, everybody loves her.
Who's that lady?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that there's something to be said about having, you know, a $1 million production behind a song and taking it in a weird direction. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when I was like, I don't know, like getting ready to graduate undergrad, like every song all of a sudden was electronic music. Like rap became
Yeah.
electronic music.
Yeah.
And
Do you know what's weird? All like pretty much all the music you hear now that's coming out and that's produced is electronic and has an electronic element to it.
Yeah.
And people are still like,
Fuck electronic music.
yeah, people are still like, why don't you play like a real instrument? And it's like, I don't know, dude, you're living in it, man. You hear
Yeah.
that from like fucking, you know,
the Freaks won. We won.
Yeah.
yeah, we won and then we lost.
What do you think about Poppy?
I think Poppy's cool, man. Poppy is pretty sweet.
What is Poppy?
I've been kind of like
Poppy?
going
What is
back to my
Poppy?
new metal shit recently. I've been re-listening to Toxicity a lot.
Are we gonna do this
Oh
again?
God,
but
Toxicity.
just
That
got, I'm
fucking
sorry.
album.
Just I mean, that is like one of
Toxicity
the
rules.
most,
It's a great
the
album.
fucking best.
Such a fucking good album.
Like just as creative as metal will ever be, and I think Poppy's definitely channeling
I wouldn't go
that.
that far.
Also with like,
I mean, it's pretty
a touch of
cool.
like
Yeah, it's
K-pop
cool.
and shit like that. In a
yeah.
way, it's really cool.
music and fucking metal.
Yeah, if you don't know who
As far as
Poppy is,
metal
you
goes.
should listen to Poppy and go to the YouTube channel and be creeped out.
Her voice gives me the ASMR shivers that I look for in a YouTube
Nice.
excursion.
Anything that's
Yeah.
born out of a YouTube channel, I'm very sus of. So
That's fair. Although, like, dude,
Like white supremacy in America?
yeah.
yeah, dude, not a fan.
Hot take.
Just want to say that right now.
Yeah, I love pop music sometimes. I mean, I think that there's it, to write it off completely is to be a complete snob and to put yourself into a world where you're completely extricated from the
It's just
mass population. You got to have something to talk to.
It's
you
just
know,
to deny the physiology of being human. Like
Yeah.
you can't hear like a four. If you can't like be honest with yourself and hear like a 4 on the floor beat and it makes you like want to move a little.
yeah.
Then
Yeah.
there's just like there's some
You've officially declared war on fun, and it's a war of attrition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think Lady Gaga really started this whole
Absolutely.
return to form.
Lady
for-
Gaga.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. All these people
Here's
are
the
great.
thing about Lady Gaga.
Here's the thing about Lady Gaga. All right, let me. All right, everyone talks.
Lady Gaga.
Now I'm gonna say some shit. Lady Gaga, like Lady Gaga is great, and like Katy Perry is great, and like Kesha was great, but they also did damage that you can't ignore. Like Lady Gaga came out, and she came out with one of the loudest fucking albums ever.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everything is loud as fuck, and like most of it is terrible. I think what we forget is like Lady Gaga is great, Katy Perry is great.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's wrong with loudness?
Compression is the devil.
So when you work in a bar
Right.
in college and that's the only fucking songs that are on all night long and you want to fucking kill yourself the next
Or a
time you
Reebok
hear...
outlet.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Lady Gaga designed her songs to be like these super extra over the top
Yeah.
crazy fucking things.
Yeah.
But like, and like made it work, and that was not at the time like really a standard. Like you saw things moving more in that direction, but like that was like crazy over the top. Like dude, they're fucking heavy. Like they're heavier than like most metal records. and
Yeah,
shit.
that's
There's
what
an
makes them
incredible amount of compression.
Incredible
on her
amount of
stuff.
compression. And then people ran with that, and they thought that was like the way they had things had to be. And then all music got that way.
But that's the nature of anything that sells.
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. But here's what I'm saying. When I'm explaining why it's a bad thing. Whenever you compress something, you're losing something. I mean, it's a choice, like artistically, and you can't just do all music from different writers in that with that mixing and mastering style and expect it to sound good.
Right.
But Lady Gaga based her music from the ground up around that idea.
It's something that's really been escalating since like the 40s.
Dude, it's at the top.
It's
dude.
been forever that
It's
it's
at
just
the
been
top.
escalating and escalating. Radio stations will run compressors on their signals to make their radio station sound louder than the other radio
Compression
stations.
epidemic. Lady Gaga is patient
Yeah.
zero
No,
in the
dude, it was like a
compression
huge.
epidemic.
There's an actual thing called the loudness wars.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
familiar.
Yeah. Well, that's what
The
we're
Cold
laying
War
down.
of our time.
And Lady Gaga won it.
Lady Gaga definitely fucking won it, bro.
Yeah, she did.
Dude, those fucking brick ass waveforms. The loudest thing that I've heard since then was an album by this guy called JPEG Mafia,
Oh, yeah,
who wrote a great album.
Good.
Good
But
music.
yeah, good. But I can't fucking like listen to more than 2 songs off
Oh
it
no,
now.
your heart will explode.
Dude, it's so fucking loud.
It's also very fatiguing on your ears.
It's
You don't
incredibly,
realize it
yeah.
until you're listening to it. You don't. If you don't know it's doing it, you don't know that's why you're like, all right, I'm good with that shit.
Here's
Just
like
listen to some fucking Death Grips, guys. Come on.
I love Death Grip,
Me too.
but here's the issue
but
though.
they're very dynamic.
yeah.
They're not like
When
that.
they
Well,
want
it depends,
it.
it
When-
depends on the
quiet,
album.
loud,
Depends on the
yeah.
album. Depends on the
Yeah.
album. But like,
Yeah.
so that album is like a huge fucking brick. But in order, if you like, say you have like a pretty nice sound system, and the level you need to crank that music to get that sound system kicking the way it should be is fucking ridiculous. And now these high, like 44,000 kilohertz frequencies are fucking blaring and destroying your ears, and you're just starting to really like feel that bass. And that's what that overcompression does. Is like it makes if it's something is overcompressed. We've talked about this hundreds of times.
Oh, so many times.
Yeah, if something is overcompressed and then you crank it really, really loud, it's gonna sound fucking awful. It's gonna sound like
Right.
way too much. It'll be cool if you're drunk and it's like
Yeah.
10 or 20 minutes. It's gonna sound sick. But after that, you're gonna be like, someone needs to throw on some fucking Fleetwood Mac. Like,
Slow us the fuck
I mean,
down.
but you look at popular rap right now, like you look
Right.
at like things that are coming out of SoundCloud. People want that. Like you listen to Little Pump, you listen
Right.
to like that first XXX
Yeah.
Tentacion like sound. It's like that meme level of compression. That's just
Yeah.
like.
but
it's like,
dude, I think people have gotten way better at working with it now, though, because you're hearing way more like compressed sounds. But like the way I just hear the mixing is better.
People
Like,
are
there's-
using
it's more sparse.
They're
too.
using instead of what they were doing with a lot of like Lady Gaga stuff and what the loudness wars were about was about that transparent compression. But you're seeing people experiment more and more with really noticeable distorted compression.
Yeah.
And different levels of it on different instruments and stuff, and that creates its own dynamic.
Yeah.
That makes it less fatiguing and more
Yeah.
interesting.
But seeing things like that, like and having them get into the hands of some people who are talented. I remember Cody and I talked about this when it came out. But the Migos album Culture was like one of those first opportunities where it was in the hands of some really talented producers. Like I think like fucking Mike Dean is produced on that album.
Yeah.
He's like a god.
No, but like that album is like great, and
It's fantastic.
I wouldn't say that's like over the top at all, and I don't think there's a necessarily
well done.
Yeah,
It's well done.
Yeah.
But it still has that over the top,
Yeah.
overblown sound that people like me, like who heard Lady Gaga and just like busted their nut everywhere, like loved.
But that lady. But here's what I'm saying is that Lady Gaga album people love because it's a good fucking album, and all that over compression shit. So that was the damage it did to like a music culture outside of it.
Sure.
I'm not saying that there's anything intrinsically wrong with that album.
No, I know.
Like
I
that
know
album
what you're saying.
did it. All right, good. But
Yeah.
that album did it right. And then other people ran with it, saw the success with it,
Right.
and then tried to apply
You're not
it.
getting that X factor. Like we
You're not
talked
getting
about.
the X Factor. They don't get it. They don't get that Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is the fucking Miss Over the Top. Like that's
Yes.
her whole fucking thing.
Right.
But
Not
like
anymore.
if you
Now
have,
she's like Joanne.
Now she's
Well,
Joanne.
now
Now she's kissing Bradley
Now she's
Cooper on the
Bradley
stage of the
Cooper.
Oscars.
That shit was hot.
She let him sing the first part of that song, and
that was
it
just the
sounded like
world's
shit.
That was the world's greatest like
People
media.
are petitioning for her to play Rocket Raccoon's love interest now. Since
Oh,
Bradley
that
Cooper plays
would
Rocket
be
Raccoon.
awesome.
People are petitioning for
Come
them
on,
to
Which,
have
if you
sex
don't
on
know,
camera.
is an otter.
Oh, wonderful.
That is who Rocket Raccoon's love interest is.
Do you think that the overcompression thing goes into the advent of like smartphone stuff and like sharing videos and short
Memes,
clips
meme
on
culture,
small
absolutely.
on small speakers where you got to
Well, no,
get that
yeah.
point across
Yeah.
quick?
Yeah. No, definitely. It has a lot to do with how we consume music. But I think also people, dude, like there are so many like little YouTube channels where people are like producers and shit now. People are way more aware of that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot more tact and responsibility. I think it got better.
But when you mix for laptop speakers, like
Yeah.
if you're making a mix and you're thinking, I'm primarily concerned with how this is going to sound on laptop speakers.
Yeah.
The frequencies that are going to be most defined and most forward are going to be around 400 hertz.
yeah.
Which means that when you turn it way the fuck loud,
Yeah.
it's gonna be ear demolishing unless you have a really, really good professional mastering job done on it.
Well, you could-
Which people are not doing as often anymore.
You know what's yeah. But there, the one thing that I'm seeing people do a lot more now, which I think is really cool, is like trap music is not that hard to make sound good. So I don't hear people like blowing it over the top a whole lot anymore,
Right.
because everything sits in its like the hi-hat is above the vocals, which is right where the snare is, and the snare's not happening too much, so you don't have to worry about it. And then you have the sub bass, and then people like they've got like the Metro Boomin like 808 is like taking over. It's this nice fat, it's got real bass to it, kick drum.
Yeah.
And then he just layers on, he distorts it a little bit, and he boosts those distorted frequencies. So when you hear it on a small set of speakers, you're like, ooh, that's bassy, even though you're not hearing any
Yeah.
bass at all.
Right.
It's the same thing with
it's like mock bass.
Skrillex. Like people
Yeah,
are like,
yeah.
all this shit's in the mid range, and I was like, if you listen to it on a big system, it's actually fucking like pretty killer.
I've noticed
yeah.
more and more of a trend of people kidding themselves into thinking that they've mastered their shit by running a plugin on it in their bedroom.
Ozone, baby.
That's not
Give me that ozone.
a real. It's not a real mastering.
No.
It's better than doing nothing. But a
Right.
lot of people don't even go as far as using something like Ozone. They basically just put a multi-band bus compressor on their thing,
Yeah.
twiddle with the settings
Dude,
a little bit.
Never used the multi.
But-
Yeah,
But
and
dude,
think that they have done
I just-
something
I'm scared
to
of
the
it.
sound.
right.
But bringing it back to like that, like the pop as punk,
But I think it's
but
better.
not
I think,
pop punk. Like you think about like, dude, Old Town Road just like became the America
dude-
just decided it's their favorite song of all time.
Fuck yeah.
That song
With a
was
Nine
made.
Inch Nails track on
indeed,
it?
but that song was made
Nine
in
Inch
a
Nails.
bedroom.
Nine Inch
That
Nails
was
is
made
on
in a
that?
bedroom.
Nine Inch
And
Nails
like
is
he
on that
doesn't know
song?
shit about
dude,
compression. He doesn't know shit about like
the main
music design.
like
But it's
opening track.
hold
Yeah,
up.
you can
Yeah,
do
the
recording, you can do
main
mixing and everything in the
I
bedroom.
love two
Yeah, it's great.
conversations.
It's a beautiful thing.
We'll wait.
Yeah, well, so the main track on Old Time Road is from Ghost by Nine Inch Nails.
Right. That's the sample.
God, that's
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
But that
I fucking
Just
love
say
that
it.
Yeah.
Just say it. Trent Reznor actually and Atticus Ross
Yeah. Oh my
have
God.
writing credits on the song because of that, which
Yeah.
is just fucking
It's
awesome.
fucking
Oh.
insane.
damn you, Trent Reznor, you tricky dog.
Dude, I fucking
Well, he released
love
that
Trent.
completely like free. Like anybody
Yeah,
can use
anybody
that
can
for
do it.
anything.
Whoa,
he doesn't give a
that's
shit.
awesome.
Yeah.
All of those tracks, there's 34 of them. I want to say.
Bringing it back to
I used
Katy
to use
Perry.
it when I was in
Oh.
school.
Katy Perry
Okay.
just recently lost a suit against a Christian rap group
Okay.
for her song Dark Horse.
Okay.
I listened to the song. It kind of sounds similar. I don't know if they really stole it or not. But
What's the look on you after you like sue a Christian band?
no, the Christian band sued her and won.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, they had the fucking
what?
Righteous Fury behind
what?
them. They got a writing
Oh.
credit on her on Dark.
We don't
Horse.
win this suit.
So
There's no God.
So the suit was they got a writing credit.
I don't know.
They're probably getting
Wow.
paid too. I
They're
would
getting
think.
money.
I mean, somehow,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
they're getting paid.
there's so many like with the legal side of that thing. There's so many like I've heard my friend used to work for like a music licensing house or something, and he said he's sitting in his office. His boss always listens through whatever the big pop releases are that day to like check and see if anything in their catalog's being used.
Yeah.
He said he heard it in a Drake song and he went, fucking got him. And he said he called up Drake's manager right away and was like, all right, we'll work out a deal. And like that's how that like a lot of shit goes down. Like
Oh, yeah.
really like not even touching the court system. They're like, how about I give you a writing credit? How about I give you a writing credit and then I'll get a feature on your next song?
Right.
How about that? Like the
Yeah,
deals
wheel
are
and
like
deal.
so crazy. Yeah, it's really interesting. And it's funny now because everyone's getting to lo-fi hip hop and they're like, is it like how can I like release this and not get sued? And I was like, you can't, bitch. You fucking go to
Yeah,
jail.
no.
Like, no, it's not. You're not gonna go to jail, but like you can't use like you can't use
Samples.
you can't
Yeah.
use
Well,
samples.
the other thing
Like,
too is
but-
with a lot of that living on YouTube, I gotta wonder how much is getting like copyright striked. And
Yeah, or,
stuff
like,
that.
demonetized and stuff.
Oh,
Demonetized.
it's all got to be demonetized.
which
Right, you
which
just can't make.
fucking
That's like
sucks.
the nature of the
No, it
the
doesn't.
beast. You can't.
Well,
make
if
money.
If you're
somebody's-
making, dude, if you're making lo-fi hip hop and you're expecting to like get bread, like fuck you.
Well, yeah, but if somebody, no, I
Your bank
disagree.
account's
I
got to be
disagree with
lo-fi
that.
too.
If
Your
somebody's-
lo-fi bank
if somebody
account.
puts out a lo-fi track and it's got millions and millions of views, where's that ad revenue going to?
listen, man.
Find me a
Alphabet.
lo-fi.
Yeah,
modern
well, it's
lo-fi
going to
YouTube
Google is
hip
where
hop
it's going,
track.
which is
That has
bullshit.
millions of
Yeah, no, it is bullshit. I mean, I think that like I don't
You
understand
shoot
why.
your arrow. If it goes real high, good for you. You know?
I just think that like the idea that like sampling is somehow not a transformation of the sound.
It is.
It is, and it
But the
even
copyright
falls under
system
parody law.
on YouTube is completely fucking broken.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
it's
have any
crazy.
idea how many times I got dinged for using my own music?
Really?
Yeah, I've had stuff demonetized, and I had to write a thing, be like, I own the copyright
I own
to
them
this
as
piece
this
of
is my
music.
music.
Can you please
I-
stop?
Because you
Own
can't
the
like clear
copyright
it
and I'm not
beforehand,
mad.
right? There's no like system for
Well,
that.
the problem is that if you use an automatic service that takes care of that for you,
Need money.
they flag your own stuff if you go to post it yourself. So if I have a song and I put it through that, and then they go and they register it with
grab it.
YouTube, if I go post a video with that song, they're like, "Hey, that's that song that's registered."
Do you know what's
Like, yeah,
so
I know.
weird that musicians have been like people who making music has been completely monetized. Like the idea of being a creator is an industry now. Like
Yep.
there are so many like little music toys and like all this thing that you want to buy. I'm not taking any shots at anyone at this table. I know I have 2 to 3 very music toy invested people, but they're like designed. The design is part of the consumer culture. DistroKid was like, you can have your music on Spotify. That would legitimize it for you. So that's a whole part of it. Bandcamp is a big part of that industry. DAWs working to make their shit more intuitive and more like easily usable. Is that Reaper or is that Pro Tools?
Pro Tools. Or no, sorry, it's Logic.
Oh boy.
GarageBand, dude.
But it's like I think like,
Basically GarageBand Plus.
isn't that like the most interesting thing? Like pay for like a premium YouTube account so you can upload your music. Like the whole idea of selling to people the fact that you can make music and get famous, and that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But you gotta pay $100 for your DistroKid. You gotta do this. You gotta do that.
This podcast, we pay a third party service to host and run our RSS feed.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
If I-
vanity project.
If I wanted to,
That's what it
is.
I could spin up an AWS like S3 like instance and like do it that way.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
When you say
it's really not that
You're
complicated.
gonna what me?
But that in itself is even more like risky to do because if too many people downloaded the episode, I could get charged more for like the space.
Yeah.
So you're better off just going with somebody's like, all right, so it's $20 a month. Fuck it, whatever. Like here's your money.
It's just so. I just think it's so interesting to see that everyone has those tools in their hands
Yeah.
now, and some guy was immediately like,
Yep, this is mine.
What if we released a MIDI controller that was like fucking $50? Like everyone would buy that shit, and it would break, and they'd have to buy a new one in a fucking year. And that is exactly what happened. You have all these like little rinky dink like Akai machines and everything. And
Yeah, buy an Arturia key step. It's the only one worth buying.
Not sponsored.
When you say that samples should be considered transformative, do you mean that the copyright shouldn't apply to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's madness.
No, I
Nah.
think it's
Yeah,
parody. It's
I
different. You're
agree.
transforming
No, that's
the whole
crazy.
thing.
That's nuts.
But
Do you
but
think
if
I should be able to recut a Star Wars movie and put it out and profit from it?
Yes.
Hell,
Yeah, that's stupid
I
as
have no
shit.
idea. But I think with
That's not a one-to-one, though.
I think
Brad.
like
that is
if
not
you
a
listen to
one-to-one.
some sampled music, that is totally a one-to-one.
I'm not
Okay.
talking like
Can I take somebody's song,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
Puff Daddy made a career out of this,
Right.
Take somebody's song, basically take the exact same song, throw a 4 on the floor beat underneath it, and just have somebody rap over it and not owe that person a copyright on it?
Okay, no, so that's straight up stealing.
I'm talking like
intellectual
micro-sampling.
Yeah, but even if
property.
you throw like a bit
Yeah.
crusher on it, it's like
Th-
it's still the same thing.
There's people like on YouTube who like will put like a quote from a movie in their fucking song and get demonetized.
So we
Like
are
fucking
too
Sony
far
or
in that
something like
direction,
that.
and I would say
Yeah.
that things should become uncopyrighted. You know, I think
I think that
copyright
was
should
more what Andy
expire
was-
a lot
was
sooner.
going to not recutting fucking Star
Yeah,
Wars.
I would like to see
Putting dicks in it.
copyright
That'd be pretty
expire a
good,
lot
though.
sooner than
Yeah,
it
that's
does,
fair.
but Disney broke the whole copyright system.
right.
I would love to see stuff like go like the person dies, it's okay, it's over.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? I definitely lean way more towards where Andy's at on this. But like, if the copyright like statute was like 10, 15 years, that's enough time to make your fucking money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like
seriously.
for real. Like, and then have it like open, and that works too. I think that just works. I think that coincides with how sampling works culturally too, because it's
Yeah.
like, you know, people are sampling.
What was your
like,
topic, dude?
I don't remember.
Pop music.
self-awareness of pop music, but it's like that would totally. I think that makes a lot of sense. If that like, I'm a huge proponent of like, well, like society has deemed like recontextualization appropriate in the visual arts, but not appropriate in music, which is kind of fucked up. But if it was just like you can do whatever you want after 15 years after the song comes out,
Yeah.
then, all right, cool.
I
Yeah.
think that there's definitely, it's very tough to say like I can take something that was put out last year and sample it and call it, because I don't think it's feasible to draw a line anywhere between like making minor changes to something, re-releasing
I
it, profiting
agree.
off it,
Dude,
and
some of
actually
my
sampling
favorite
it.
shit
I
is
think
just like
that,
Chipmunks album slowed down.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely,
that's the
dude.
good shit.
That's
Or-
good shit.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can fall asleep.
Or Mary Kate and Ashley sped way up,
Yeah.
Uh,
or slow down.
or slow down.
I mean,
slow down. and then sped.
I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, is
Fucking
the
love
whole
that video.
Amen break story really fair?
No,
To
they-
the guys that
Yeah, to the guy
What's
that
this?
played it originally.
absolutely.
Amen break is
Absolutely.
I mean, the guy didn't get anything for it.
Okay, so Amen break is the drum and bass break, like the.
Yeah.
It's from a song called Amen Brother.
Look what we would have in that case. You can't. If we're trying to look at that case, we're trying to set like a general rule. That'd be fucked up. But what if we went to all those people and all those creators and said that you couldn't do this? We'd be out of so much music. We'd be missing out on so much culture and so
Yeah.
much of the basis of where we are now
Right.
in terms of music. Like, would there be a huge loss if that was the case? Like, if everyone had to retroactively like do that. Like, if fucking George Clinton demanded money from everyone that sampled him, like hip hop would not be where it's at.
Right.
He made a donation like to culture.
Yes. I agree with that.
Yeah,
And
but
that
did George Clinton make a willing donation to the culture, or was
Dude,
George
he's
Clinton
fucking
forced
high
to
all
by
the
law?
goddamn time.
That's what I'm saying. That dude wanted to be paid for
Yeah.
what the thing that
But
he
it-
had created.
Yeah, but if he had it, it would have been bad for everyone else. So it's like,
What did a lot of other people became millionaires off songs using his work?
My viewpoint on it.
I mean, who
Is-
who made millions of dollars off of almond break,
going.
of like breakcore?
my
I think
The
a lot-
Venetian snares? Are they?
It became the foundation for a lot of late
Yeah.
80s hip hop.
I would say that
That's true,
here's a concept,
and that's kind of where
that we
like,
can argue
copyright
about.
law in music really started. Sorry.
Yeah.
Information wants to be free. Can you really stop that from happening?
And-
Whether or not you're making money off of it is kind of secondary. That goes inside of like our legal system and like capitalism. But like, can you really stop people from at a club dropping a sample over a different song, or like how like DJ culture was invented like through like EQing, like literally just cutting and using just the bass line from a song by
Yeah.
using your EQ on your mixer board.
And should even an even baser question than that, like, why do we have an expectation that you should get paid for making music? Like, why is that something we expect.
Well, that's just
Should be.
ingrained in society in general. Like, you
It's
do
capitalism,
something,
baby.
that's
Capitalism,
Yeah,
baby.
you
But
spend
it's
your
not
time
even
doing
really.
it.
I don't,
Get rid of
I
it.
don't think it's
Served its
it's
purpose.
an
It's
expectation
done.
that you should get paid for it. It's an idea that
But
you
there-
you should get paid for the thing you create, not
Right.
somebody else getting paid for it.
But you gotta
something I
but you
don't
gotta
like.
say it's a you gotta admit, like, culturally, like, people like make music like, dude, I remember I heard this all the time growing up, and it was such a load of bullshit, which it was like, if you play a gig you should get paid. And then, like, I notice all these fucking kids now that are like, hey, do you want to, like, play this show? And they're like, well, how much you pay? And I'm like, I'm paying fucking nothing. Like, I want to hang out and play music. I don't have any fucking money.
Right.
Like, I want to, like, hang. If you don't want to hang out, then, like, don't come through. And then someone will be like, oh, like, so and so, he just wanted me to play, wouldn't pay me. Like, fuck him. And it's like, fuck you. But if I wanted, like, to like, I'm asking you to play because I like you. Like, if I needed a band for, like, an event, if I was, like, trying to make money at something, I would, like, pay people to do it. But I think it's weird to be like, this is, like, my third gig, like, I should be, like, getting cash at this point.
Well, I think that there's different classes of people when you're talking about this. I mean, if you're
So now we're classes. No, I'm sorry.
if you're if you're a session musician,
yeah.
then you have an expectation that you're gonna get paid for your stuff.
Yeah, 'cause you have-
and the
you have-
dude that
That's like
played the
music's your 9 to 5. Like,
Yeah.
I smell what Cody's cooking though, and it goes back to what we were saying about how, like,
that's a good example.
part of music now, the packaging is that it's like, not only is this like something that you can listen to, but this is like a way you can, like, make lots of money. Like, that's part of
that's
the package,
right.
and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
and like, I
Yeah.
mean, you just gotta do it for fun. I mean, if you go up to Binghamton, New York, they got a killer.
They got no
DIY
money
scene up
and
there.
they have a lot of fun.
They are making arts that they don't fucking kill themselves, and
Yeah.
it is a beautiful thing. And so many
It's
great
really cool.
bands have come
Yeah.
out of Binghamton.
I
like,
think
in the
there's
last
room
couple
for
years.
all of that, but
Yeah.
at the same
Shout out to
time,
Media Limits, by the
are
way.
you gonna have
Shout out to Media Limits.
are you gonna have an album like Lady Gaga's breakout album if nobody's gonna make money off of it? And I don't think you're going to.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That doing some types of music and some situations involving music are going to be contingent on that there is a business aspect to it. You're not going to have a big, like, Nine Inch Nails show at Madison Square Garden if nobody's making money off of it. Will you have a cool basement show with somebody doing maybe similar kind of music? Sure.
Yeah.
But can
But-
we inspire people to make music without, like, dangling a dollar bill in front of their faces?
I wish it wasn't such a dominant storyline in people's heads.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really my main
If everyone
complaint.
wasn't seeking to become a rock star,
Dude, like, these fucking, like, indie, like, rock bands that are St. Rose, like, if one of these dudes is like, oh, where's my money? I'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
Bye.
where's my money? I don't
unless you're
have
playing
any.
the
be a
hits,
band.
you ain't getting shit.
I just think it's people not understanding their class, their station. Like, dude,
Know your place.
you're
Know your place, twee boy.
you are in an indie rock band in Albany, New York.
Yeah.
You're not, you're not a session musician. You're not touring. You're not,
Yeah.
this is not something you should expect to be making a ton of money off of.
But if
I
I was,
never
like,
made a lot of
What
money.
happened
Having
to
a-
just being satisfied with getting laid?
But if
Seriously.
yeah, when is the last time, dude? I don't think musicians get laid anymore. I don't know
no,
if that's a thing.
Dude,
No,
our
that's-
10 years young Republicans
Oh, man.
absolutely taught me that music does not equal laid.
Music get you laid? I thought you were about
No
to say
comment.
that. I was like,
Oh, he's pleading the
I thought you were like gonna be like, excuse me.
I played in rock bands.
right. Yeah, I was a fucking controllerist, like
controlist.
way before it was like cool.
Oh, don't go to, you're so cool.
Dude, like every time I show up, people would be like, your act is really unique. I'd be like, it's really not. Like, just go on YouTube. Like,
That's what the kids are doing. Dude.
yeah.
Kids are cool.
I just think that the expectation that you're gonna get rich and famous is kind of poison to your art. Like us
You
with
just
the
make
podcast.
you should just make a podcast. We're making so much fucking money.
Yeah.
It's
Hand
not
over
even
Hand over
fucking
About to
funny.
retire.
Yeah.
It's all a charade.
Yeah, no,
My
it-
job that I work
Sure
hard
you
at.
are.
No.
No, I think that it's definitely something where like music should be viewed as something that's natural to people. Like you do the birds in the sky expect you to drop $1 on them when they wake
They
you
wouldn't
up in
mind
the
it.
morning?
They wouldn't mind
Wouldn't
it.
mind
Mind it.
They wouldn't know what to do.
Trying to build my nest egg, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think I want to live in a world that doesn't have the low end, and I don't want to live in a world that doesn't have the high
That's
end.
fair enough.
I agree with that. I mean,
Brennan's really big on
Know
classes.
your place.
Know your
Yeah.
place.
Know your
What Brendan's really saying is, know your fucking role, all right,
Know your
guys?
role.
Stay in
So
your
know
lane.
Stay in
role.
your lane.
Shut your mouth.
If you want to be a big pop star, if you want to be Grimes,
Can you imagine?
gotta marry Elon Musk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ew.
Can you imagine being
Get down
like
with that goofy motherfucker.
what like one of those dudes that just blew up and is not sure why? Can you imagine being like one of Tricks Point Never, and you're just like, yeah, okay, Sure. Like to all the success that you have.
Yeah, Grimes does all that shit herself.
That's true.
Yeah, but she was like, I'm gonna be an underground pop star. Like you can see that. You can tell by the way
Yeah.
she talks.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because if you listen to the early stuff, it's clearly not going in that direction. And then there's a point
Like
where,
pre-Oblivion?
yeah, I think that stuff is, she's going for like kind of an arty kind of, you're going to see like live videos of it at radio stations online.
yeah.
Like that's going to be like the top tier for
pinnacle.
that.
Yeah.
Like WKXP is going to have her video live of
By
her
the way, do
playing
you
in the
guys
studio.
like that album? The
new one?
Oblivion album?
It's all right.
I only
alright.
listened to Grimes
Dude,
to get laid before I met my girlfriend.
Right. It got so popular, and I remember like I was like, this is when I was playing shows at like Ground Zero, and there were all those kids there, and they were like, "Oh man, Grimes is so cool," and like girls I were into were like listening to it.
Girls
This is what it was.
love Grimes.
And I remember listening to the
Boys
album
love Grimes.
and being like, "Do you like it?" And I was like, "I totally love it because it's cool and unique, and I don't fully understand it, so it must be great." And then like I remember like listening to it like more and more and being like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, that's not a solid foundation for something that you're going to make a deep emotional
No.
connection. Like,
But
I
when
feel
you're
like I
young-
should like this.
When you're young, that's why like you see, dude. I've been to like noise shows and you see all these young dudes and you're like, wow. They go up and they're like, wow, that was amazing. And I'm just like in the back, like, no, it's fucking not. He just put
He's trying to get laid.
he just put contact mics all over some shit. I'm sorry.
He's trying to get laid.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a dude opening for Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Yeah.
Godspeed You Black Emperor is like a religious experience for me live. And
I
then
mean, that's a band.
this
Yeah.
dude opening was just, he made noises with his guitar.
Which is like,
I mean, that's cool.
and it can be, dude,
Rock
like,
on,
trying
bro.
to
it
get
can
laid.
be cool. Like
Just
it
trying
can
to
be.
get laid.
It can be.
Amazing.
The dude I
amazing
used to play
experience.
guitar with
Yeah.
does amazing shit under the name Claymation. That's just him with the guitar.
That's a pretty good name.
A bunch of loop.
pretty
Well, his name is Clayton, so it's fitting.
Ooh, nice. Love a play on real name.
just like,
Daniel Dumile. Come on.
Lots of looper pedals, but he's not doing really defined rhythms or anything. It's just layering all these crazy shit together.
You get
And
laid
it's,
with that?
it's really good
Get
stuff.
laid.
If you want to get if you want to get laid, start a podcast.
Yeah.
If you want to get laid, start a pop punk band, go
Well,
to
yeah.
jail.
You know who gets a lot of booty? Buckethead.
I was
When
gonna
Big Sur Moon comes on,
I started a podcast. Now I'm getting married. That's all I
That's
got to
true.
say.
Hey!
Brennan got married while we were making the podcast.
Yep.
hey, everybody's
Mazel,
getting
dude.
married.
I would say that having the girlfriends before the podcast was probably the smartest move, but yeah, I got you.
How do you think that feel, dude?
That
They're
was a
like-
super woke take, bro.
every once in a while, I just remember that my girlfriend is dating a DJ, and I'm like,
That's really big of her, man.
and I'm like, good on her. Like,
Self-loathing DJ.
yeah, dude, it sucks.
So the moral of the story is comic books are cool
Yeah.
and
Go
music's
to
cool.
at DJ Crazy Feelings on Instagram.
Oh yeah, you guys
Yeah.
are musicians.
Yeah,
let's wrap her up.
Yeah, let's bring this home. This was two topics today.
Yeah, folks. if you're
Longer
still-
than a normal episode too. Fucking awesome. If you're still listening, we appreciate you. Thank you for listening to us. Guys, thanks so much for coming on. Stuff to plug. Tell us about yourselves. Everything.
Hey. Cool. Well, I'm Connor. This is Cody.
Cody.
We do hidden. I'm in a couple of
Oh,
acts.
there we go.
And
I like this.
I'm in a band called Boys for Men with my buddy Kyle. And we got an album that we're just wrapping up. I'm in a one-man synth punk band called Book Club. Which
you
is,
should check out Chris. You would like it a lot.
Book club, yeah.
Book Club's wacky. It's kind of just music that I made because I really wanted to do gigs. But it's been really, really fun. And GYP forever, baby.
GIP for life.
That's
Grand
right.
Party of Fools. I'm Cody. I also go by DJ Crazy Feelings and make electronic music under that moniker. It's really cool stuff. You should check it out. It's like different than most other stuff. It's pretty unique.
Not like other
album's
girls.
fine.
Not like other girls. And I'm making footwork now, and I throw parties at Superior Merch every month. The next one is August 30th. We're going to play a bunch of weird electronic music. I don't know who's going to play because I always do it last minute.
August 3rd is the day the new Tool album's dropping. You really gonna take
Well,
on that
I know where
heat?
you're going to be. I know where you're
Give me a
lies.
Maynard's Vineyard.
Maynard's
No,
Vineyard.
we
And
have
check
gone.
out Hidden New York.
Yes, we have gone to a number of the hidden shows, and they are a good time.
They're
A lot
a
of
good time.
lot of
lot
fun.
of
My
fancy-
topic was going to be how to throw a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll just go to a
But yeah,
go to
why
one of
don't
the
you
Go
just
to
bars.
there and you
up.
can just
Yeah.
find out firsthand.
IRL.
Crash course,
Yeah.
bud.
Where can they find you guys? We're on the
Oh,
internet.
at hidden_ny,
Yes.
at DJ Crazy Feelings, at
at the Crowbar 5000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Book Club HV. on Band-
DJCrazyFeelings.bandcamp.com.
The album is lunge capacity, baby.
Hidden.bandcamp.com for all of our stuff. Shouts out Muddled Waters.
Shout out to Muddled Waters. Shouts out Multiple Bird Strikes.
Apostrophe S. Shouts out Sudoku. Shouts out Multiple Bird
Shout out
Strikes.
to Multiple Bird Strikes.
Shouts out Bricks to God.
Yeah,
Shouts out
buddy.
Blame
MC
God.
Cranky. Shouts out Blame God. Shouts out dropping a new album this Friday, maybe, if they figure out how to work their distribution before then.
Nice.
Blame God's new shit is fucking punishing.
Yeah.
Like, would highly
Heavy
recommend.
stuff, grindcore.
But the new stuff's riffy. The new
Yeah.
stuff's riffy.
All right. We could talk all night.
Thanks, guys.
And maybe we will.
Fuck yeah.
All right, folks. Again, thanks for listening. If you are, check these boys out. They're awesome. And be nice. Oh, actually, go to our
Thank you,
Patreon too. And be nice to us. To us? To each other.
Nice.
All right.
Ain't gonna play. Don't worry.
Bap, 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 bap.